Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
So in the SEC West, we've got Alabama, A&M, and LSU as the three betting favorites. In the East, you've got Georgia and Florida. In this episode, we're going to discuss the teams right below those that are kind of the dark horses. Maybe not necessarily to win the division, though in some cases maybe, but just to have better years than people might think. So let's get to the candidates here. Let's start in the SEC West, Ryan.
Yes, and my first squad here is I got the Arkansas Razorbacks, and this one actually is my most intriguing dark horse. Arkansas is this year.
Okay.
So this is one of the most experienced teams in the conference, especially defensively. Grant Morgan, Bumper Pool, man, sweetest name, and he's been there a while, seems like. Anyways, those guys are both back. They both had over 100 tackles last year, so good job in the middle there. Their stud safety, Jalen Catalon, is back. He does it all. I mean, he's a hard hitter. He's good in coverage. That guy's awesome. So really just need to improve that pass rush if you're a Razorback fan. And sounds like they're going to kind of try to mix things up a little bit more this year, maybe some more three-man fronts, try to get some lanes for those linebackers. But offensively, they lose Felipe Franks. That's a concern. But KJ Jefferson, has been there. Love Kendall Briles, the offensive coordinator. So he's got everything else coming back, really, other than just that QB position. So I think the offense is going to get better even under his tutelage. So, they got Traylon Burks, a great wide receiver, Trey Knox. I mean, there's good weapons. There's some reason to be excited with all those returning starters. I think it's 17 that they have overall. So I think they could sneak up on some folks because they practically did last year. They just had a few really close losses.
Mm-hmm. The one issue with Arkansas, I like Arkansas, but the schedule is absolutely brutal. So
they do play Georgia from the East. That's tough. And then they got Missouri though. They host Missouri also from the East. So that's there you go.
Could be worse, but Missouri's pretty good, as we'll get to. But sticking in the SEC West here, Auburn is our next potential dark horse with, of course, new head coach Brian Harsin coming in from Boise State. He inherits a team that has a lot of talent. Like they've overall been recruiting well. Defensively, I don't have too many questions. I think they should be pretty good. Zacoby McClain and Owen Papo, great linebacker duo. Smoke Monday and Roger McCreary in the secondary, two great pieces to build around. So defense should be pretty good. The question mark to me is, of course, the offense. Bo Nix is back and five-star recruit, of course, but just hasn't put it together. He hasn't been good. He's been inefficient as a passer. Now, Harsin has generally had good quarterback play, so maybe this is the year that Nix will put it together. Or if not, then I guess TJ Finley coming in from LSU could get a look. But either way, they've got Tank Bigsby right next to the quarterback, so that's a pretty freaking good piece to have. Entire offensive line is back, so it's not going to be great, but clearly it's going to be better. Another issue is the receiving core, though. They lost their top three targets, so there's talent there, but it's still a major question mark for me. So there's some positives and negatives with Auburn.
Absolutely.
Not my most intriguing dark horse.
No. Our third dark horse from the West would be Ole Miss, and I think they're my most intriguing dark horse in the conference. And
me too. Big surprise.
Yeah, of course.
I love Ole Miss.
Yeah, Michael loves Ole Miss. He loves Lane Kiffin. But we all know the offense should be one of the best, not only in the SEC, but in the whole country. Matt Corral clearly knows how to thrive in Lane Kiffin and Jeff Levy's system. He's got a gifted weapon in Jerrion Ely, who should have a monster year. The line last year, they were young, but they still led the SEC in rushing. Losing Elijah Moore on the outside won't help, but Corral can make a lot of these receivers look good. The system can make these receivers look good. You got Drummond, Sanders. I expect John Reese Plumlee, the former quarterback, to get some touches. Jonathan Mingo is a former four-star recruit. He could see some action as well. So not concerned with the offense. The defense, though, leaves a lot to be desired. They were gashed left and right last year. They were almost last in the country in yards per play. But in their defense, they had injuries, COVID issues. Kiffin revamped the defensive staff this year. I think the linebacker core could be a strength. You got Sam Williams. Otis Reese could be a breakout star of that defense. The secondary, they relied on a lot of youth last year, so hopefully some of that experience turns into better production. Not saying they're going to be in a world-class defense, but hopefully it improves enough to where they can just roll the ball over to the other side and say, offense, win us the game. And then the last point with them is their schedule isn't that awful being in the West. They get Alabama in the first conference game, so they can kind of get that out of the way. After that, they draw easy from the East, Vanderbilt and Tennessee. They get LSU and A&M coming to Oxford. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if Ole Miss is in the mix later in the season.
I agree. That's part of the reason they're my most intriguing dark horse. And, I really hope if some of those new pieces, transfers and a really good freshman on the defensive line if those guys can live up to the hype, then because the defense, it has to take a big step forward. That's what's going to do it for them. And there's a chance that it does.
Yep, no doubt about it.
All right, let's go to the SEC East, and we have 3 potential dark horses here. And I drew the short straw here. You guys in our text message thread, I'll take Missouri, I'll take Kentucky. And I'm like, well, crap. All right, I've got Tennessee here.
Hey, now.
And
go Vols.
Well,
Why not Vandy?
Well, we're not getting to Vandy, unfortunately. But so Tennessee, of course, had a terrible year last season, fired Jeremy Pruitt, bringing in Josh Heupel. And they lost, obviously a ton of players to transfer. So Heupel has his work cut out for him for sure. He is a really good offensive coach, and so they're going to have games where they put up a ton of points with that tempo for sure. And I think whoever starts at quarterback is going to be a good player because they've got 4 pretty good options. You got Harrison Bailey, who played reasonably well for a freshman in when he played last year. You got Joe Milton, the transfer from Michigan, Hendon Hooker, transfer from Virginia Tech, and then Brian Maurer. And weirdly, I've heard a lot of Joe Milton buzz recently.
Yeah.
At least as of this recording. So Milton, Bailey, Hooker, I don't know who it's going to be, to be honest with you. But I have confidence in whoever emerges. Now, the O-line in front of them lost some pieces. There's going to be some growing pains on offense, but there'll be some bright spots too. Defensively, there's depth concerns. The loss of To'o and Crouch at linebacker is huge. They added some transfers to try and plug some holes here and there, but overall, I'm just, especially combined with that offense that isn't very kind to a defense, especially a defense that has some depth issues, I don't expect it to be very good. I think for Tennessee, a bowl game is the goal and very attainable. I think 6-6 is the number, but anything beyond that would be gravy.
Yep. All right. So our second dark horse in the East is Missouri. So first of all, I really like Eli Drinkowitz. He seems to say the right things, getting the recruiting a tick up from where it was.
Oh, he's doing great on the recruiting trail. I'm loving that.
Yeah, I mean, overall, they still have a considerable gap to close in the conference, but I think they're beginning to narrow that margin. This year, they know who's going to be under center. Connor easy for me to say. Bazelak. He had a great year throwing for over 2,000 yards, 67% completions. I think really he's going to improve this year and could take the offense to greater heights. Tyler Beatty's a nice running back to have. Can also catch it out of the backfield. I think Elijah Young is really going to step up because Roundtree's obviously not on the team anymore. I really like, they even brought a transfer wide receiver from Ohio State, Mookie Cooper. He should see a lot of action. So there's a lot of pieces on the offense that I'm confident in. Again, kind of a theme. The defense needs to improve, but there's a lot to like on that D-line. New defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes, he's from the NFL, has solid interior guys like Kobe Whiteside, Darius Robinson, but really the star of this defense is probably Trajan Jeffcoat. He was very productive getting sacks and hurries. He was in the backfield a lot. They played a lot of underclassmen, so again, hoping some of that underclassmen that experience turns into promise this year. And then finally, they avoid Bama from the West, and if Drinkowitz can get the quarterback to take a year 2 leap, this offense could allow Mizzou to make some noise in the conference.
Yeah, I'm confident in the Missouri program. If it doesn't come together this year, moving forward, because Drinkowitz I think is being underrated by people.
Yep. I liked him coming in from App State. He's good. All right, let's move on to the last one from the East, and that's Kentucky. So it sounded like the Penn State transfer Will Levis is actually going to be the guy. Gatewood's still in the running, but Levis seems to be getting the most buzz. And that offense has to get better, no doubt about it. Liam Cohen's the new offensive coordinator coming in from the Rams. He's going to put a little more play action, so maybe some more stretch play, so we'll kind of see how that goes. If it works relatively well, Kentucky's got a good offensive line. They got a good running back, Chris Rodriguez, we talked about in a previous episode, so they can have a solid offense. Josh Ali, a decent receiver, brought in the transfer wide receiver from Nebraska, Wan'Dale Robinson. He's a nice kind of slot receiver. So there's pieces that
just
could make
brought
this
in
offense
pretty
good.
recently Rosenthal at left tackle from
True. Yep.
from LSU.
LSU.
Or he was left tackle there.
Yep. So there's pieces that I'm a little worried about the new system, but there's reasons for optimism there. And we know the defense is going to be good. Kentucky's always sports a good defense, even though they lose 7 starters. It still should be really good. Josh Paschal is back at end. He's a great player. Marquand McCall has taken over at nose guard. He's looked great apparently. So, there's losses, but I trust Stoops in that defense. So, and in the schedule they avoid Bama and Texas A&M from the West. So can't go wrong with that.
All right. Well, there you have it. So let us know if you're watching on YouTube in the comments below your most intriguing dark horse, or if you're listening to the podcast, check us out on Twitter at CFB Bros. Let us know. And we will be back tomorrow discussing Florida and Texas A&M. We're going to debate which one of those is more likely to win their division. So we will talk to you then.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.